everybody. Welcome to another episode of Meet the Expert on the Block. My name is Dawn Block. I am with Century 21. I am your host for this episode and all the episodes, but I just want to welcome everybody. Give it a couple moments. I would love to see more people pop on. So I just want to give I call it my housekeeping. Oh, and I will be introducing my special guest in a moment. And please, I do apologize in advance for any technical difficulties we may have while this is going on, but just hang in there. So I am big about housekeeping. And what I want participation. I want people, letting me know that they like it, which I see there are people giving us some hearts and giving us some thumbs up, and keep those coming. But most of all, I would love to hear from you. Comments. I have a special guest here who's going to be telling us his story, and I would just love to have people ask questions. So, looky here. We have a comment. And yes, it's my number one fan, Chris Block. He's looking forward to the topic, and I'm glad that you were able to join us, Chris. He's always there for me. So I just want to take a moment in time. So if there's a lot of interaction, I'd love it. And if you like what you hear, you can always go to Dawn Block Realtor and follow me, because I'd love to have you be notified when I'm going online. I just would love that. So Ragu, hello, Dawn, Justin, happy Women's History Month. Thank you so much. That means so much. Thank you for that Women's Happy History Month wish. Thank you so much. That's why I'm here. So what I want to do now is just thank everybody for joining me. But you know what? I think it's time. That we introduce my guest, who has been so patiently waiting to introduce himself. This is Justin Mahwikizi he is the president of Mahwikizi Company. Justin, if you would not mind to introduce yourself and let people know, how can they get in touch with you?
Sure, Don. Thank you very much for allowing me to be part of your program today. I can be reached directly at 267-252-3305 or at jmah@mahwikizi.com. And I'd be happy to talk to anyone about their specific issues that we can be of help with.
Well, thank you very much again for joining this episode of Meet the Expert on the Block. And we're going to get to know Justin in just a couple of minutes. But I just want to let everybody know why I do this. There are so many business owners out there, so many interesting people that I've met, and I've learned their stories. And I think what's really neat about me doing this is I just want everybody to get to know people. I want them to get to know the person behind the company, what they do, how they do it, and why they're doing it. So I want to thank you, Justin, again for joining us. And what I'd like to do is ask you my first question. So you've told us where you're located and all your contact information, and we do appreciate that. But what is your story? I want to know you before you became the president of your company. Tell us about you, where you came from, and what was your life before you were Mahwikizi Company?
Sure. I'm actually originally from a country called Burundi in East Africa. I came to the United States when I was 12 years old in New York City. Then I did my high school and college in Philadelphia, Temple University. But I've always been interested in how the world of finance worked and how business works and how it delivers value for the workers, the employees, and their families. And so I thought banking and finance was the right place to be. And for about 12 years, I worked for many banks, from HSBC to Northern Trust, before I decided to go out on my own and essentially bring Wall Street know-how to Main Street companies and help small businesses grow and deliver value that way.
Awesome. So can I ask you, why did you choose? Is there anything personal? Why did you choose the career that you're in now?
Sure. I'm good with numbers, but I'm even better with personalities. And as an investment banker, knowing how to talk to business owners, understanding their why, how to bring a goal towards being being achieved by them is extremely important to me. And so I get to be both financial whiz, but at the same time be a coach and helping them go where they're going while interacting with other stakeholders like lawyers and sure that their mission is aligned with them.
Okay, you popped out just a minute, just for a little bit, but again, that's technical difficulties, and I'm okay with it because I apologize for that in advance. So hopefully it didn't. We'll get you. We've got you back in, though. We've got you back here. So I would like to know. So your company that you that you're the president of, how many people work for you? Tell us a little bit about your, your staff and how that's organized.
Sure. I have about 15 advisors, industry advisors who are experts in their specific niches that I work with depending on the clientele. And then I have a virtual assistant. So this job requires me to be very mobile. I'll be in Naperville in the morning and in Schaumburg in the afternoon and maybe in Chicago in the evening. And so that's a setup that works for us to make sure that we bring value to our clients.
Awesome. So when someone contacts you, can you give us a little bit of an idea? What is that customer experience like?
Sure. We have two types of clients typically, and I'll give you a couple stories. One is a business owner who's had an asset or a business they wanted to sell for 2+ years. For some reason, they were not getting the right valuations. And so they were referred to us because we tend to be very discreet, and we only use our network when we're working with our clients. And so we were able to quickly have a consultation, determine what the problem was, which is essentially there was a mismatch between who they wanted, the buyers they were talking to and the asset they had. And so we had to find buyers who are experienced with this type of business, who understand the long-term revenue cycle, and help match them to essentially come to a value that both sides would agree. And then, of course, we brought the advisors and the teams they needed to make sure that the transaction concluded. And that was a successful close this past January. But the typical client is a family business where there's a succession planning problem where the parents have to figure out which one of the kids is going to take over, what's the best match. So we'll give a consultation for that to essentially provide them a report on what is the best way the business can continue forward when the parents retire, and make sure that the business continuity stays on the status quo.
So how does that work with, like, when you're talking about family? Okay, how does that? I mean, does that usually run smoothly? Can there be? What is the downfall of having your? Is there any glitches that can happen along the way when you're discussing with a family? I mean, brothers and sisters do fight.
Absolutely, son-in-laws and brothers, fathers-in-laws, all the static that happens in a normal family will take place in a business environment. And for us, we want to make sure the planning goes right, that the foundation is there, the agreed upon rules are part of the scenario, so that each member of the family who is in the business understand how they're going to resolve disputes in a professional manner rather than on an emotional basis. And so we come in, we set up the guidelines, the structures, we talk to each one of them to figure out who's best suited for what role. And then it becomes more of a consultative relationship over 3 to 6 months until we get a scenario that works for everybody, that everybody agrees upon. But yeah, it's essentially you're dealing with family dynamics. But I'm one of 6 kids, so I know how to handle that.
Yeah, 6 kids. Oh my, that's a big. So yeah, I'm sure you've had your fights, haven't you?
We get to a point where who's who can do what, and so you have to use your words to resolve problems going forward. So that's part of growing up in a big family.
Oh, definitely. So I was gonna ask you. So what type of businesses do you deal with? I mean, like what kind of careers or businesses people do you talk to mostly?
Multitude of industries that get referred to us. We'll work with manufacturers, whether it's light manufacturing or heavy industry. We'll talk to distributors, but also we'll go to really mom and pop type of small businesses, such as a laundromat
Okay.
who's got 2 or 3 laundromats, which are great businesses that provide a key value to the communities they're in. But to us, we value relationships. Most of our clients are by referral. You'll never see a business that's listed by us. We keep everything in-house, and it's all discreet because we want the business sellers to know that we have their best interest at heart.
Oh, okay. So we just have a couple, actually, my mom, I have to mention my mom, Janet Zajac, she says she's listening. So thank you, Mom. And then also, Dawn, you're one of 5. Oh, yes, I am one of 5, meaning, so she is listening. Thanks, Mom, for joining. So what I was going to mention, what we were talking about before is, and what we had mentioned I had put this out there when we had decided what we were going to be talking about. I always mention that I'd love to have a little bit of a takeaway for people. And what we were talking about was what strategies can you give to help budding entrepreneurs to attain an achievement mindset? So, that was our what we wanted to put out there. So, Justin, what strategies can you give us?
So we typically in-house, we approach it from 3 different perspectives. We always ask people to not pick a direction first of where you want to go with your career or whatever decision you're trying to make. We ask that you step back, and it's 3 levels. So 1, you got to get your guidelines and principles about who you are or what your business is. You have to understand what that is first before you reach, we call it a level of oneness, so you can focus and be in the present, so that the decision on which direction you want to take is only looking at the variables that you can control, that are in front of you, and you don't have to worry about something that happened in the past or something that may happen in the future. And so to do that, we always say the first thing you should always write down is, you're a good person. Assume you're a good person in the present, and so that whatever happens with your decision has nothing to do with you as the person, but rather on the variables that you can or cannot control. And then set on a strategy, focus on the present, and don't be anxious about the future or depressed about the past, and just be one with yourself as you're making that decision. And typically that decision you make, if you're in that state of mind, will usually succeed, and it allows you to focus on the destination rather than on the obstacles that are always going to be.
So can you give any advice? So, that's what happens. So can you give any advice for people that, let's say they haven't made it, whatever they've started, they started the process of starting their entrepreneur or their business or whatever it is that they're starting. But let's say there's bumps, there's bumps in the roads. And everybody has them, there's good times and bad times. What advice can you give to those entrepreneurs?
Two pieces of advice. One, you have to embrace the chaos. The world is chaotic. You cannot control everything. And so I always teach my children, when they walk into a room, a networking event, there's 100 people, I will say, your goal is to go in, make 3 friends, and one of them will be a lifelong business partner or friend. And so if your goal is to specifically, you shouldn't worry about the other 50 people around you, and just focus on making those relationships. So embrace the chaos. It's always going to be there. But at the same time, you have to accept there's going to be failures. Matter of fact, I always tell people, you don't want to win on the first try because you don't know why you won. And so you should always look for the failures, learn from it as quickly as possible. It would be great if it's small failure, so that once you understand the principles behind how whatever system you're in works, you can then quickly get small gains and build momentum. And finally, being an entrepreneur is a lonely road, and so you're gonna feel that pressure, and so you got to be comfortable with yourself. You got to know where you're going, but always try to build a round table as you move forward. So make good friends, make strategic friends, leverage their thoughts, whether you like what they say or not, and to make sure that it's not a lonely journey for you. You got to have people around you, and so those are the 2 or 3 things that I think entrepreneurs or people who've been through failures should be focused on. One, accept the chaos. Know that there's going to be failures before you learn how to win at whatever game you're playing, and make good strategic relationships and bring them with you, because these are not journeys you want to do.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. That's great information. So you have, if I'm not mistaken, you have children of your own, right? They're younger, right?
4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls. That's right.
2 girls. And have you, obviously you have lessons for them as they grow up, like all parents do. So I guess my next question would be, what advice would you give young people? Like, I mean, we're all adults here talking right now, but how about the young people that are just, maybe they're graduating high school, or maybe they're just graduating college, but they're not yet in the business world. What advice can you give that young person?
My biggest advice is get in the room. Typically, sometimes it's very hard to get the job without experience, but it's also hard to get the experience without the job. And that's a conundrum most graduates go through. But I just had a young man in Chicago who just graduated, and he asked me the same question recently, and the result was he became a member of the Union League of Chicago, which most people who are 20 plus years, 20 years old don't think about. But he got himself in the room of professionals. He's got and he's building relationships, and through those relationships, I believe he's going to get where he's going. And so, whatever industry you're in, figure out where some of the decision makers go, what clubs or associations are part of, and get in the room. If you're in Schaumburg, the Schaumburg Business Association is a great environment for you to understand how business is done in that community. And so a membership is extremely valuable, even if you're still in college, because now you're starting to talk to people like us who can give you direct advice and place you in a winning position for your future.
Yes, that is great advice. And you're right. You want to surround yourself with people who are like-minded people. I think that's basically what you're saying. You need that support. So, no, that is great information. So I know that you have an event that is coming up.
Yes.
I was hoping that maybe we could take a little time and you talk about that event. So when is your event? Let's start with that.
It's on the morning of Thursday, March 14th, at the Building W, the Conference Center on Harper College campus, and breakfast will be served. And if you're interested in learning how the buying of a business looks like, or the selling of a business look like, we're going to have 2 panels, one legal and one finance. And so whether you're in the industry or not, this is good material to know, because people in your world own businesses or think about buying businesses. And yes, if you're about to graduate college or just graduate college, this is a room you want to be in, because there's going to be plenty of folks to network with in multiple dimensions of the investment banking industry.
Awesome. Is there any cost to this event?
The free event. This is meant to be a platform for education. And so we're trying to provide value to the community and develop relationships for the future.
Awesome. So, and you will put in the comment, I guess you can go into the social media platform and just in the comments put, do you have like a link or something for signing up for this event?
Correct. We'll put an Eventbrite link. The event is called the Silver Tsunami. They can Google that as well, but we'll put it in the comments on all the social media posts with this interview. All
right, great. So at this point, I'll see if there's any other comments. There's nothing, no comments right now. If anything pops up later, let me check Instagram real quick, because sometimes you might get people chiming in, but Not at this point. All right. No, I think we're pretty good. But you know what? If there are any comments that you have, you could always get in touch with, Tony. Oh, we got one here. We got to pop it in there. Tony, thanks for joining. Great information. Thank you so much for joining the show. I'm glad you like the information that's been provided. If you have any other questions, you could definitely get in touch with Justin. I just asked a question. See above. Okay, Chris. Let's see. Advice for, yes, I found you. Sorry about that. Advice for established businesses.
From a growth perspective, there's two ways a business can grow. You have to improve your marketing and sales, and work on your operations and cost containment. And we do provide some of those services for some of the private equity clients. And so we'll be glad to look at your cost structure and give you advice on how to reduce your cost of doing business and ways you can essentially get the word out for your business and win more contracts and more customers. But even for established businesses, the owners have to deal with the same scenarios that we talked about. And so keep getting in the room, build your round table. And if you want us to sit at the table, please let us know. We'd love to have a conversation.
Awesome. And thanks, Chris, for joining in and asking your questions. I love getting the interaction. So at this point, I want to thank Justin so much for joining me on my episode of Meet the Expert on the Block. I hope everybody had gotten some great takeaways and information. The information was good for you. And Justin, if you would just, again, let people know how they can get in touch with you. And then don't forget, you do have to put that link in the comments, but go ahead and plug your event, and also how can people get in touch with you?
Sure. But before that, I want to say thank you, Don, because you have created a great community, and I appreciate you having us on today. Again, the event is going to be on March 14th. It's called the Silver Tsunami, and it's going to be at the Building W Conference Center on Harper College campus from 7:30 to 10:30 a.m. Breakfast will be served, and it's a free event. I'll put the link in after this event, chat. And I can be reached at 267-252-3305. It's my direct number, or jmah@mahwikizi.com. And I look forward to speaking with you further. Thank you.
Awesome. Again, Justin, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Meet the Expert on the Block. I'm your host, Dawn Black. I'm with Century 21. I want to be your resource for real estate, but also just be there. So if there are any episodes that you've seen in the past and you just want to get more information, please go to Dawn Black Realtor on my business page and just research some of the lives that I've done. You might find somebody that you want to do business with. You never know, but at least you know what it is we're getting to know people, and it's making these great connections, and that's what I love. So until the next time, which will be, I want to say on the 21st, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm excited to have Kennedy Pierce and her aunt. We're going to be talking about the chiropractic part of their business. I got that out. And then so until next time, I want to hope everybody has a great rest of your week, and we'll see you at the next show. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.